Pastor Carlotta wasn't with it in the very beginning because she said she never wanted to be a first lady or a pastor's wife.
Well, my husband, when he said Huntsville, Alabama, I was, really thinking he was talking about Huntsville, Texas. I'm like, well, at least we kind of close to the, because that's where my family is. When I say family, I mean my church family. That's where I grew up. I grew up in church. I gave my life to Christ at Fort Hood in Killeen, Texas, at the Christian House of Prayer.
But I knew that if it was the call of God, that he would change her heart, in which he did.
So I had to trust God where I couldn't trace him.
When I heard the Spirit of God speak to me concerning pastoring, I was coming back from a men's fellowship at Christian House of Prayer in Killeen, Texas. And as I was pulling up to the light, I was having a conversation with God. And I heard the Spirit of God said, you remember as a kid, everybody always said that you were going to be a preacher. And I said, well, God, I always wanted to be a businessman and wear a suit to work every day. And God's Spirit, he said, well, if you be about your Father's business, you will wear a suit every day. And once I heard that, the rest is history.
Our ministry is called By Faith Ministry. Everything that God has done with us at the Gethsemane House of Prayer has been by faith.
One of the things that God has always allowed me to do is to show me the progressiveness of how he's brought us.
And because we didn't have a job, we didn't have a car, and we started having service at our trailer because, of course, it was getting to be quite expensive to do it at the Holiday Inn. And the ministry started to grow.
And then from the living room to the storefront, where everything was in one room, probably a little bit bigger than where we're sitting today.
And my husband continued to preach. So I ended up finding a little storefront. It was like 600 square feet. And we had service there for about a year and a half.
And then we moved to the building that we had at 132 General Harbor, which was our first freestanding building, 2,400 I think square feet. And we had some rooms where we could have a children's church and a fellowship hall.
At a building that used to be a dance studio. And we were there. My husband continued to preach the word. And so we knew that it was time to move.
And then for God to just open up the door here at a 10,000 square foot building, it is mind blowing. But it's all him. And that's one thing I can always say. It's all about him. It's all God. And he just does it all. We just have to be faithful.
And we have been looking and looking. And then this building became available. And it came available after looking for over a year. Out the blue. We're growing, and my husband is still using the word.
I was the very first member of GHOP. GHOP has impacted me in my everyday worship with the Lord. It helps me to support my family spiritually, and also it gives me the mindset to do my job each and every day.
That has been our mantra, is to teach people faith, is to walk by faith.
GHOP has changed my life because Pastor Mack, who identifies himself as the under shepherd of this church, always provides us with practical messages that can be applied to everyday life. When my children come home from school, a day when they face challenges and adversities, and they can recall something that Pastor Mack has said, and that helps them overcome whatever challenge they may have faced that day.
Faith is what we teach. It's all about the Word of God and faith in what God is able to do in our lives.
The message that I always come back to is the tithe and offerings message. That's the message that always really impacted me, because before I got here, I didn't understand what the tithe and offerings really meant and what's the significance of the tithe and offering. So now that I came here and got an understanding of what tithe and offering meant, so that was really impacted my life. Yes.
Here we accept everybody. They bring you in and they grow you up. They start, no matter where you are, they reach you where you are.
So many times people have seen love done wrong until they don't see it or they don't understand it when love is done right. And so we model ourselves after Jesus, and Jesus just loved people right where they were. When people walk in those doors, they know that Jesus is Lord here at Gethsemane House of Prayer, and that this is a place where the Spirit of God is, and that it's not about us, it's all about Him. Those are the things that we want to exemplify to the whole entire community.
Pastor Kalida came into my office one day, and she was getting her ID card, and we began to have a conversation, but it was just something about her that I knew that God had sent her my way, because I wanted, at that particular time, I was attending another church. She said her husband was a pastor, and she was too. So I said, well, do you have a card, with your information on? So I went out to her car with her, and she was, trying to find a card. And somehow she began to start praying for me. And at that time, I knew that her spirit had agreed with my spirit. And I knew at that particular time, I want to go to this church right here to see what it's all about.
One of the things I think about our ministry here and our pastor, my husband, is we bring a different flavor. Undying love for God's people. Don't matter your race. It don't matter your religion. That doesn't matter. What matters is showing you how much Christ loves you by loving you.
It just clicked. And so finally when we made membership and we took our classes and everything, and then they found out that I was choir director at the church that I came from, so they asked me about being worship leader here, and I love it. They're loving people here. Everybody loves everyone, whether you knew, old, you want it here at GHOP, and I just love it. My kids love it.
According to Hebrews 11, it says, for without faith it's impossible to please God. And our desire has always been to please God. So faith is what we teach. It's all about the Word of God and faith in what God is able to do in our lives.
When I found the Gethsemane House of Prayer, I knew it was my place. I knew it was home. I knew it was a place for me to come to learn, to get a clear understanding of what God was expecting of me and what I wanted from God. And with the teachings from Pastor Mack and First Lady, I have received it. I've grown, and I've also stopped being a babe in Christ.
To do bad things, I used to always used to be bad, but the second I got to GHOP and I heard the voice, it just opened up things, and I really don't know how, but it just did.
I love my church. I love my church family because I love God.
And we also try to make sure that we take time for each other. When we take time out. That was one of the things that Pastor Kalida said when we started this. You don't get to the point where ministry is going to become so important till you can't take me to a hotel or take me on vacation and do those things. And I promised her at that particular point that I would.
So I already told my husband, in 2 years, I'm going to have my Jubilee, my 50th. I told him you need to start saving now, because I want it to be me and him. And I want to go to the Maldives Island. I want to be in a Tahiti, whatever those things is, them hutches, with the water on I can look down and see the water. I don't want to see no kids. I don't want no phone calls. He's my best friend. He's my best friend. I don't have any close friends in Huntsville. I don't. My husband is my best friend. And that brother take care of me. I love him. So as long as he makes sure that I get time with my grandbaby and my kids and him, that's my car all the time.
We want to dedicate the building unto God. We want God to know that even though the building is not the church, we want this building to represent the presence and the place of God. So when people walk in those doors, they know that Jesus is Lord here at Gethsemane House of Prayer, and that this is a place where the Spirit of God is, and that it's not about us, it's all about Him. Those are the things that we want to exemplify to the whole entire community.
Because only God will make you step completely out of your comfort zone to a place that He's called you to do, and to a place He's called you to be, to do what He's called you to do. I have family here now, and this is home.